classics. Let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio.
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursday at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 94.5. See, there you go. Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursday at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm Father John DeSando.
And I'm little Kevin Carr.
And this is Cinema Classics. Well, Kev, the movie we're doing today, which is called The Nun 2,
Yes.
is in the classic mode in the sense that there are already 9 Conjuring movies.
Is that not, I don't actually know the number. So
Yeah, it's
9
9.
Conjuring?
It's 9, right?
Because there's the 3 main Conjuring movies.
Yes, right. They have this one La La Land something or other that nobody's ever seen.
Oh, The Curse Without You or Not.
Yeah, right, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I'm saying, however you define classical, this one's been around and is going to be around. And for me, it's a particular joy to talk again about one of the most formidable influences in my life, the nuns.
The Nuns.
I had them up through 8th grade. So as we get through talking about the art of the Nun 2, we'll probably slip into talking about the Conjuring group and then horror films as we move into our podcast,
Sure.
Double Take. So Kev, we have the Nun 2. I mean, is it necessary after Nun 1 to have Nun 2?
Well, I don't know, was The Nun a necessary movie? There's a lot of stuff in the Conjuring universe that isn't necessary. I like the Conjuring movies. I really do. I like James Wan's influence in horror in the teens, in the 20 teens, because he really kind of came on, it was like 2012, I think was when the first one came out, or something like that.
I think it's 13.
2013?
13, Conjuring.
And yeah, so Conjuring and Insidious. So both of those were James Wan influence, and I think they helped pull us away from found footage horror, which was just
Oh my gosh, which you've had enough of. Oh,
Yeah.
well, we did. Well, good. Well, let's try to save that discussion of Conjuring for a little bit later.
Yes.
I would add to what you just said because it's tough not to talk about it. I think the presence of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga is an important element.
Oh, yeah.
of all of this. I
Yeah.
think they're charming personalities.
They work really well together, and they're a great thing. They're great in the main movies, but it's also nice when you kind of see little
Yes.
glimpses of them elsewhere.
So her younger sister, Thaisa Farmiga,
Yeah.
is starring in Nun 2.
Yeah. Well, she was a nun, the Nun
That's
one,
right. That's right. But she's grown up now,
a little bit.
so she's more. What was somebody saying? The Hercule Poirot of nuns now.
Well, because it's been 5 years since the first Nun, and then that's because a lot of it got disrupted through COVID and everything like that. So that's why we're so far behind.
Well, Kat, I need to ask you because I can't start on this. What's distinctive about the Nun 2?
That's a good question because it falls into that. It's not just a horror story. It's not just a ghost story. It falls into that category of demonic possession
Okay.
movies,
Yes.
and obviously the gold standard is The Exorcist or
Right.
something like this.
Yes, right.
But they've done dozens of these movies over the years. So the question of what makes this one unique, and what I think is interesting is the way I would answer it, what makes this and its predecessor unique is the stuff that I don't actually like about it. The story is basically she's trying to track down this evil nun spirit.
Yes, the demonic nun,
The demonic nun Valak from the first film,
Right, right.
and tied into The Conjuring
who was a
too.
pretty ugly lady.
It's sort of like Marilyn Manson. If Marilyn Manson were a nun, that's what you get.
Yes.
But so she's sort of sent by the Vatican to do this little detective thing, and
Yeah, there are murders all over the continent, and they just for a little. She's not a postulant now. She's just a novice, or
she's pretty inexperienced, but she vanquished the nun in the first movie. They're like, we're going to go to you again,
That's right.
Because priests are dying in the middle of this. And I love the idea of sort of like the nun detective. I'd watch a whole series of that.
Sure.
But then it turns out to be really not her movie because it's about the people who the possession is affecting, and the thing where I say it's unique about it is that it goes really, really big. I mean, big. I mean, you have explosions, there's a whole, like in the movie Batman, the first Batman from 1989, there's a big fight in a belfry tower, or I mean, it was like Vertigo, and you're just like, there's a lot in there. And that's what I think makes this distinctive, but I think that also pulls away from the genre, because that genre needs to be somewhat intimate.
Well, and you're so right, because it's all dark.
Yeah.
It's set in alleyways and chapels and so on, in places where it doesn't even make sense why they're there. I mean, the transitions here between the scenes don't seem to be well thought out, other than they need more tropes. So they're going to have more, and they just go, as you say, go big on all of these, which takes away from me the thing I love about any good ones, even like The Exorcist.
Well, The Exorcist goes big, but it all takes place in that bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
That's why, it's as big as it gets, it's all in, and really The Exorcist, at its core, is not about priests fighting the devil. It's two guys trying to save a girl. That's what it's about. And this becomes fighting a demon, and so you lose that dread of it could happen, kind of thing.
It's not that it's dull.
No, there's a lot of excitement.
I'm interested in the role of Frenchie, who had appeared in the Maurice, I think his name.
Oh, okay.
Who had appeared in Nun 1,
Okay.
because I have an alternate thesis here, which is that there's a whole sexual sublimation theme, as there always is when you're talking about nuns.
There's a little bit of Catholicism running through
Oh,
this
yeah,
movie,
you think. And so I'm interested in how people actually know that he's possessed, but you don't. Many people in there don't, but you see the one very phallic shot where the devil is taking over his body by going through his mouth.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it is one of those things where it's two movies, because it's all that, and then it's Thaisa Farmiga's movie as well.
Right.
So they're two different things, and it just wasn't fully explored in either of them.
Well, no, and to follow up on my thesis about Frenchie, he's hitting on 2 or 3 ladies here.
Yeah, he's spreading it around.
He's the farm boy who can do anything, and he's a great looking presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he so dominates all of them.
But he's also not, and this is the thing that I thought was a nice touch, is he's not threatening, in that he's not creepy or sleazy about it. He's very charming and likable.
You're absolutely right. He's one of the motifs here is the eyes, which we see in the portrait of the demon nun, and there's some kind of pale eyes. I forget what they are, but he's got blue eyes that will change because people know that he's possessed. Yeah. But you're right. He's still, and that's one of the ingenious things they do with this, is they make us identify with and care about him even though he's possessed.
Yeah.
And they do it. He's very caring for the ladies, and so when it comes time for everything to be exposed, we're still on his. Somehow we're still on his side.
Well, and I think part of, and this is also one of the things I'm going to ding it for, is it sets that up nicely, but it doesn't justify it, because the whole point is that when you're dealing with possession stories, you're dealing with the fact that somebody's being controlled by something malevolent, but that person's still in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can't just do a total war thing and just wipe everything out. And I think that like I said, there's a lot of things to explore. But the other thing you pointed on is it does just start off, certainly the first half, it's just a hodgepodge of any of the scenes work great. And then they're just all kind of crammed together, and you're like, okay, I get it. That's like about 18 setup scenes. How does this fit together?
That's right. Yeah, it does. Kevin, what about the Catholic influence here? Is there anything you can talk about? I certainly can.
I wasn't raised Catholic.
Well,
so,
yeah, I knew that. That's why I
would. I mean, I've seen enough Catholic type movies, but I'm more interested to hear the take from you, from your upbringing.
I think, and I use the word sublimate, but there's something underneath here in subtext It's an awful lot about what I experienced as a young man growing up, at least in my first 8 years of schooling with nuns.
Okay.
And I think there's a dual character here of the nuns. The first one is the loving, and I have to admit that the nuns gave me an education that was second only to the Jesuits.
Okay.
So I've had some very tough but very good education.
Okay.
The other one is there is a wicked side to them.
Yeah.
And I have the nun examples, which I'll give to you when we move into our podcast,
Okay.
of that dual nature of nuns, that loving, caring, motherly type, and yet that fierce, just like the Mother Superior in the photo here.
Well, and that's what you get. That's what you get with just religion in general. There's the overbearing power of it, and you know the Catholics don't have a corner on that. They're maybe most famous for it, but in most walks of religion, like very strong, like zealot religious figures will have the I'm doing this good, but then you have to follow these rules, or
Yes.
no pun intended, they'll be held to pay.
Yeah, authoritarian.
Yeah.
I would have thought that maybe our last president might have been schooled by nuns, since he takes an authoritarian role.
I'll allow you to speculate.
That's just, it is a speculation, right?
Okay.
Kevin
I mean,
Carr.
our current president was right. He's Catholic, so he did have that influence.
Yeah, that's
growing
true,
up.
that's true. I think he should have been tougher with his son, but that's another.
Sure, that's another discussion.
Kevin
Long
Carr,
conversation.
the movie is The Nun 2. What do you advise our audience?
It depends on what you want.
It is.
If you're like the guy I met at the movie theater who just wants jump scares, yeah, you're gonna get it. If you want something that's gonna go up against The Exorcist, maybe not so much.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda